Hi, it's Brenda Wood, and this is another edition of Things by Bren. And today I am with Estrella Forste, and she is a family member of somebody that's been incarcerated that's still doing time. And I'm going to let her tell her story of what she went through. Everybody thinks that it's just the person who committed the crime that does the time, and that's just simply not true. It hits everybody. And it's unfortunate that we have some very unjust things that happen in our justice system that cause things to happen for longer periods of time than it should. So I'm going to turn it over to you and just tell us a little bit about yourself and what's going on in your life.
All right. Well, my name is Estrella Forste, and I'm a mother of three, grandmother to two.
That's awesome.
And my 11-year-old daughter's father he took a plea deal for a crime. He's admitting that, yeah, what he did wasn't right and he should accept some punishment. He was offered a plea deal.
Oh, she cut out. So when she comes back on, hopefully we'll hear the rest of her story, but I can fill in a little bit there. We talked a little bit before the show. Okay, so there she is. Go ahead. We heard he was offered a plea deal.
He was offered a plea deal, and when they offered him the plea, they said his criminal history score was C. And so he took the plea deal, which he would have gotten the lowest number in the box, the grid, when the state also said they wouldn't argue against the downward disposition for probation. So he thought he was going to go to court, get sentenced, and get probation and be released. When he showed up at court, they said, oh, no, no, we figured something wrong in your criminal history score. You're now a criminal history B, but you pled guilty, so here you get to do 209 months. So he now is not eligible for release until 2034.
Wow.
Um, yeah, his mom is 70 years old. She's 71 now. She's turned a year older while he's been incarcerated, but he was the sole caretaker of his mother. So since then, I have stepped in and I am now living with his mother so that I can help her while also taking care of my own kids and family. And it's just been a real burden, and we miss him.
Of course you do because you love him. And
Absolutely.
you also have to support him while he's in there. Is that correct?
Yes. That has been a very, very struggling thing, like $75 a month for a box, plus making sure there's money on the phones, making sure there's money on your JPay to be able to send them emails, and
And
the list
JPay
is just going
in the
on.
federal system, it is free to the family. Unless you pay like $7 for an app and it tells you when you have an email. But for the inmate, it's 5 cents a minute to read it. On JPay, it's 50 cents on each side to send an email. It's free to read, but to send it, it's a stamp. It's a stamp,
I
and
think it's
that can get
55
expensive.
cents. I think it's 55 cents, but
Yes, that's
yeah.
you're probably right. Whatever the cost of a stamp is. So with all of that adding up, how much a month do you think you spend?
I don't even want to know. I haven't checked it. I probably make sure that he has about $300 a month on his personal account, plus the 75 that I pay for his box. Plus, I probably spend $28 a month on JPay stamps. So now we're at, I don't know how much, 400 plus what I put on the phones, another 100, probably an easy 550, $600 a month that I'm having to spend because he's there and not home.
And that is just for him to survive and to live in there with some decent groceries and
Mm-hmm.
hygiene. Do you,
And if he
what do
wants
you
name
do?
brand toothpaste, it's $7 a tube. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Tell him to
I
buy
just
generic.
right, he does, but like he's
What
gonna
do
have
you do
rotten
for a
teeth
living?
because he couldn't afford Aquafresh.
What do you do for a living that's enables you to be able to pay that for him?
Um, for a while, I was on unemployment, and the government graciously gave us the extra $600 a month. Um, Now I work as a call center employee, but I'm working from home, and he also is now working in the facility, so he gets paid a, a wage, but their hours have been sporadic. So I'm not having to spend as much or send as much to put on his books, but we're still paying for the box and the phone calls and the stamps and taking care of his mom. And I got to
Absolutely.
help her with her bills too because he was doing that and she can't afford them on her own.
How far away do you live from the facility that he's at?
I'm in Wichita. He's in Hutch, so it's about an hour, but we can't go see him because COVID.
COVID.
So we haven't visited since March.
And were you going every weekend?
I was sometimes both days,
So
and
that
that was
takes time and money.
it was awful. You'd have
Yeah.
to make sure that you have the gas to get there and the gas to get back 2 days, plus the money to pay for him to be able to eat while he's on the visit. And the prices in the vending machines are exorbitant. And you got to use your debit card. So you get home and you've got like 11 different charges from different vending machines because you wanted to buy a Snickers or some chips or a
Yeah, they don't
sandwich or
let you
whatever.
bring cash in at all.
Yep.
Mhm. Now, are you allowed to take pictures while you're there at visits of him and you as you together as a family?
They do have a picture guy, but he has to buy the picture tokens in advance. And at the time that visits were open, he had an old balance from when he was incarcerated before for like $900 that we had to pay that off before he could have money on his own books.
Oh man. Yeah, they're
Uh-huh.
going to get their money.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I personally think that our judicial system is for profit when it comes to incarceration. And that's okay because everybody's in business to make money. However, it shouldn't be at the expense of adding time to people to make a profit.
No, no.
I interviewed a
Abs-
gal who said she got 3 years and she said she could have benefited from a strict rehab and probation charge sentencing versus 3 years in the federal system. And it would have benefited her family, it would have benefited her as well, and it would have saved money of the government having to pay to house
oh yeah.
people. And I think in the feds, it's around 30 grand a year to house somebody. I don't know what it is in the state.
I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
They're also charging him rent, so he gets money taken out of his checks when he does work to pay room and board at the facility. So I don't know what we're paying for.
What security level is he?
He is medium low now, I think. He would be minimum security except for the amount of time that he still has left. He can't get that classification yet. I will check because I'm actually not 100% sure because he had a reclassification in December and he told me, he said, I'd be minimum except that I have too much time left on my sentence. Like,
Now, is there any programs he can do to get time off?
not that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm. Does we, he's not eligible for parole until you said 2031?
Um, let's see. 2034 is his release date, but it doesn't say anything in there about parole, I'm sorry.
So maybe we could do something with that with an attorney. You said you were going to hire an attorney to help fix his criminal record, and again, that's expensive.
Yeah, if we can, the attorney is talking about $15,000, and we have to have 7,500 of that up front. So while I'm also trying to pay for him to survive in prison, I'm also trying to figure out how to save 75,000 or $7,500 to be able to pay an attorney to get him released.
And there's no
Because if
guarantee that's going to happen.
yeah, if we can get that charge fixed and get him reclassified, then we can ask for them to honor the plea deal. But at least if they don't give him the probation, then he would only have 92 months instead of 209, so it would make a difference. But
So how does this affect his daughter?
like she's playing basketball for the first time this year, and he's not able to help her learn how to dribble or shoot and practice. He's missed both of her games that she's had. Of course, he's going to miss all of them. This is a hard question, Brenda. You're going to make me cry. He's got other small.
Okay, she cut out. She's explaining the family history. There you go. We heard he's got other small.
He has other children besides just my daughter, and it's like they all miss him. So I'll try to pick up the daughter whose mom I get along with.
Now, do they get to come to visits too, or are you the only one that does it?
They do not get to come to visits.
Mm.
No, there's not at all. we're working on, his name isn't on my daughter's birth certificate. That's why she hasn't been able to go to visits. And I'm not taking his other daughter if I can't take mine. So,
I
so
agree.
we're working on that, but at this point they're not
That would
doing
be
anything.
hard. I could see that. It would be very hard because you want your daughter to see her father and not the other one. But yes,
Right. My daughter would
can
kill me.
understand that.
My daughter would kill me if I did that.
I think all parties would understand that. That's very reasonable.
Right.
It's very reasonable. So she's not able to see her dad. Do they do video visits?
No, we don't do video visits. Nature of his crime won't allow for video visits.
Oh, wow.
But
Okay.
that's a whole.
We don't have to go there. We're not going to get into the nature of crimes because everybody's made a mistake that's doing time, and it doesn't make them a horrible person. Sometimes you don't understand the situation that was going on at the time, what was the circumstances surrounding them, and you also don't know the person's mental state. I'm not excusing what people do because there are some people who need to go to prison and never come out. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are good people behind bars that have just.
There you are.
I gotta hit the record again. Oh no, we're still
All right.
recording. Okay, so we lost connection there for a little bit. Sorry about that out there, guys. She was explaining the nature of his crime, and I was telling people that there are some people who need to spend the rest of their life behind bars, but there are also some people who you don't know the situation, the circumstances, or their mental state. And there's some very good people that have just made some very poor decisions that are doing time, and it's unfortunate, but it does happen. Looks like she's froze up again. Are you still there? Well, we will go ahead, and I think
You're
everybody
frozen.
there. Yes, it's still frozen. I can hear you. We might go ahead and cut it short because you're cutting in and out.
Right.
But if you have anything to tell the public, what would it be? We're trying to educate all aspects of the judicial system, incarceration, the family, from the prosecutor to the attorneys, to everything that happens when something like this goes on in a family. Are you still there? Well, we will go ahead and cut off because it looks like her session with internet is not very good. And we will be back with another episode soon. I am shortly to interview a lady who got a pardon, clemency from President Barack Obama. And that is huge. Not too many people get that. And we will be talking about that in the next interview. Oh, there she is. Okay.
I'm here.
So quickly, what would you tell people about the system?
Well, people assume that everybody in prison must be guilty because they got convicted. And until you or someone that you care about gets involved in the system, just be open-minded and know that it's not always what they crack it up to be. Charges on paper look worse than the reality of the situation a lot of times. Police are not always honest. Lawyers are not always effective. People are sometimes steamrolled into making guilty pleas just to get out of jail because they're tired of sitting in the county jail waiting for their court
That happens a
appearances.
lot.
It, it they're human people, and you can't just, oh, they're guilty, put them in prison. It doesn't work that way, and that's not going to fix anything. It's not going to make our society better. We're taking fathers and mothers out of their homes. They're missing taking care of their kids and trying to raise them right. And then we just have a whole nother generation of kids that are getting in more trouble, and we need more prisons. And prison isn't the answer.
And these mandatory minimums are not the answer. I think it should be on a case by case,
No,
crime by crime basis. And uh,
absolutely.
look at the whole story versus just that part of the crime. Yeah. And I think a lot of it
Yep.
depends on the judge. I do. You have some judges that absolutely hate white collar, are more tolerant of drug users because they feel if they weren't doing drugs, they maybe wouldn't have committed the crime, or hate the drug lords. You just don't know what the judge's passion is. And I do think their personal opinion of that person weighs heavy on what sentence they bring down. So.
Yeah. And it shouldn't. It should just be by the law.
That's
And
right.
the laws are also the laws need to change too, but we could have a whole nother 4-hour conversation about
Well,
that one.
that's what the Kansas Coalition for Sentence and Prison Reform is about. And we are both members of
Absolutely.
that.
And that is why
And
I am there.
we are trying to make changes there and call out the people who need to be called out and help those who need to be helped and support the families and those who are incarcerated. That's what the coalition's about. And if anybody would like to be a member of that or has questions about it, you're welcome to contact me via Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. You can call me at 913-957-3693. I'm available to talk about it. We need to make changes. Things need to happen. It needs to be fair. And our judicial system right now is not fair for all involved. So with that, I'm going to let you go. Don't hang up when I stop recording. I want to say something, but she's
All
waving to
right.
everybody. Thank you again. And we'll put this on YouTube and Facebook and all the appropriate parties. And what we do with these interviews is we send them to lawmakers so they can see the effects that these sentences have on the community, not just the person going to prison. So thank you. Appreciate it.